Chapter 20, The Man-Eating Octopus. The picture that Anastasia, or the dark-haired youth, showed, in which people build their homes along the stinking tentacles of a man-eating monster, is not fiction at all, but the truest reality. A reality to which people have grown so accustomed, they accept it as a given. And the monster exists still, and is growing in size. It is our roads and what moves along them. Information about this is available to everyone. We know, for example, that the length of the world's major paved highways exceeds 12 million kilometers, which is, for purposes of comparison, 300 times the length of the Earth's equator, which extends for approximately 40,000 kilometers. The length of air traffic routes approaches 6 million kilometers. Railway tracks are 1.5 million kilometers long. Major pipelines stretch for roughly 1.1 million kilometers, and interior waterways for more than 600,000 kilometers. The length of sea lanes equals many millions of kilometers. If we turn to the problem of pollution of the atmosphere by various means of transportation, then automobiles' share would make up 85%. And the problem here isn't limited to harmful gases. We shouldn't forget about such unfavorable ecological factors such as noise and vibration. So 80 decibels, which is about the noise level on a busy city street, already has the potential to harm one's hearing. And the development of various means of transportation and the laying down of highways does not promote psychological health either. Here, too, these factors directly or indirectly affect not only drivers and passengers, but also many people who are outside the means of transportation and communication lines. Crammed roads, sitting for many hours in traffic jams, in fact, that sometimes it's impossible to even simply cross the road. All of this sharply heightens nervousness, leads to chronic stress and increased aggression, and sometimes drives people to acts that they not only never would have committed, but couldn't even imagine themselves capable of committing had they been in some other place. Yearly surveys of the condition of the natural environment in the various regions of our country eloquently express the acute nature of the problem of the ecological safety of all Russian big cities without exception. Experts unanimously recognize the intensifying process of the automobilization of society as the fundamental reason that the region's levels of ecological safety has decreased. Even now, medical personnel are already testifying that ecological stress caused by the automotive and transportation system costs the average resident of a large city in Russia 4 to 5 years of his life. Wow. We're talking about people. And a person, after all, can not only perceive a problem, but articulate it too. But what about the Earth, for example? Although the Earth can also articulate a problem, too, in its own way, it's just that amidst the noise and clatter and fumes of our lives, are we still capable of hearing the Earth's voice? What specifically is it about the automotive and transportation system that is killing the Earth? First of all, you need actual Earth when you're building transportation lines, just as you need water and air. In the USA, for example, there is a statistic that the amount of land that highways, railways, and airports occupy equals 101,000 square kilometers, which cities occupy 109,000 square kilometers. In Russia, the length of the roads is greater than 500,000 kilometers. Well, roads are built on land. What's the problem? The problem is that when roads, pipelines, and airports are built and used, the soil is destroyed. You get landslides and sinkholes, and erosion advances. And then you get gullies that run along the ruts and dirt and grow wider, which exacerbates the situation even more. The further you go, the more happens. A large expanse of land alongside highways, railways, and the oil and gas pipelines that come out onto the surface is polluted with a combination of lead, sulfur, petroleum products, and other substances. Experts rank as most dangerous the strip of land that extends 200 meters outward along both sides, runs of the busiest highways. This is the reason it is expressly prohibited to grow agricultural products, collect mushrooms and berries, and grave livestock, especially milk producers, along the sides of roads. There are known cases of children being poisoned by the milk of cows that have grazed around roads. Near roads, the layer of air near the ground, up to a meter above the surface, is also devastatingly polluted with dust consisting of particles of asphalt, rubber, and metal. You'll find lead in it, along with other substances that possess carcinogenic and mutagenic functions. Those who are fond of taking a stroll or jogging along the roadside should give this some thought, and one should be partially mindful of this when taking walks with little children. After all, when they're in a stroller or are walking, they're passing right through this hazardous zone. And here's something else I'd like to add. Please note that the greatest number of harmful roadways is concentrated not in the desert or in Antarctica, but in places with the greatest concentrations of people. And huge cities and metropolitan areas take pride in their killer multi-lane ring highways. When putting their budgets together, all governments include major financing for constructing and repairing highways. What else could they do? After all, if there were no roads, the residents of metropolitan areas might be left without food and medication. Roads are the blood vessels that provide a person living in a metropolitan area with everything he needs. Stop. What we've got here is some kind of gibberish. It truly is rampant anti-rationality. The blood vessels, which it would seem we can't do without, are in truth delivering us to a slow death. Ah, what a spiritual, well-educated, and intelligent people we want to seem to be. But if we leave monsters like this to the new generation, that means we are handing our very own children over to it to be ripped to pieces. Who does that make us in that case? And there seems to be no way out of the current absurd situation. But it only seems that way. There is, in fact, a way out. And it lies in the way we live, both the individual person and society as a whole. The exhaust gases from millions of cars, the smokestacks of giant and small companies, and other sources that belch out harmful pollutants are but an effect, and not the cause that gave birth to them. The cause lies in the anti-rational, technocratic way of life.